Hello, everyone. I just want to wish all of you very, very happy holidays, no matter what your religion or religious persuasion may be. Happy holidays. Happy holidays, everyone. And to get into the holiday spirit, peppermint. Peppermint always takes me back to the holidays. I can't help it. Just been conditioned to think of peppermint as festive flavor for the holidays. And peppermint, and today, the 8th of December, is Virgin Mother's Day. Virgin Mother's Day, so happy Virgin Mother's Day, everyone. Yeah, the Virgin Mother. Yeah. Virgin Mother is a goddess, too. God, Heavenly Virgin Mother. And so, Virgin Mother's Day is upon us, and I just wanted to make a video. Been wanting to make this video for a while. I haven't really made the leap yet, but I'm about to. Okay. The leap that I'm about to make, and I'm very sorry about this. I apologize, everyone. Because I promised you that I was going to be a vegan from now on. I promised you that I would. Promised I would be a vegan from now on. And then I switched to vegetarianism because my life was under threat. My life was in danger. My life was in danger. My life was under threat. And I had no choice but to go back to being, to eating animal foods. Because my allergies were so severe and they were out of control. And I didn't know what else to do. And I knew that I was fine before I became a vegan. I was just fine. And then I acquired so many new food allergies. Eating soy and pea and palm and coconut every single day. Developed a whole bunch of new food allergies. Even allergies to milk. And very severe allergies, very severe reactions. And I was very unhappy about this. I was very upset. So that's a little bit of background for you, for those who haven't been watching my videos. I got very sick from being a vegan. I became very allergic to many things, many different things. And my allergy doctor naturally doesn't believe me. Nobody ever believes me. They always think I'm lying or hypochondriac or something else is wrong with me. They don't understand when I get sick. They don't understand my illnesses because they're so uncommon. Probably the only person on earth who has this kind of sickness. It's like multiple chemical sensitivity only to foods. Foods specifically, and also chemicals too. Have a few chemicals that I react to now. My mom had the same problem, so it's hereditary. So, what am I going to do now that I'm eating eggs and dairy? Well, I did a little research. I'm always doing research. I found out the following, okay. First of all, dairy is not supposed to be harmful to your heart. In fact, it's supposed to help your heart. It's supposed to be good for your heart. Dairy is supposedly good for your heart. according to all the research. Dairy contains animal fat as a very highly saturated fat, like 7 parts out of 9 are saturated fat. And dairy is high in cholesterol. Okay? It's high in cholesterol. And it's just not a food. Dairy is not a food that you would think would be heart healthy, would you? You wouldn't think it would be heart healthy. You think dairy can't be heart healthy because it's so full of saturated fat and cholesterol. But actually, despite all this saturated fat and all of this cholesterol, somehow, some way, people who eat very modest amount of dairy, like two servings a day max, obtain great heart health benefits. Also, milk is healthy. Skim is probably better for you, but a little bit of fat is all right, like 2%, 1% or 2% is fine. And as far as cheese goes, maybe 1.4 ounces of cheese a day. That's the ideal. That's the ideal amount to achieve radiant health and lower your risk of heart disease. Eggs are not healthy. You should limit yourself to 1 egg a day. And if you're diabetic and overweight, I have a history of diabetes, so if you're diabetic and overweight, you should only have 3 eggs a week. Because cholesterol in an egg is 7.74 times greater than the cholesterol in meat, even red meat. Even red meat. 7.74 times greater amount of cholesterol than you find in red meat. So saying, oh, that red meat, it has a lot of cholesterol and you shouldn't be eating it. Shouldn't be eating that red meat. It's got a lot of cholesterol. Well, guess what? Eggs have more cholesterol by 7.74 times. And yet all of these people say, oh, an egg is fine. Have an egg a day. And that's places that are reporting this are Harvard, P.F. Chan Medical School. It's Harvard. Harvard is telling you. Harvard is telling you, oh, milk is good for your heart. And eggs are safe. And the study says, though, that we did. Even though we know that Harvard has an ulterior motive, right? Telling us that eggs and dairy are so heart healthy. And that red meat is not. Red meat is lower in cholesterol by 7.74 times than an egg, and half as much cholesterol as milk. It's got less saturated fat if you eat lean. If you eat lean red meat, it's got less saturated fat. So I was thinking about this and thinking, how could this be? Why are they all saying red meat is bad for your heart? Red meat is bad for your heart. Don't eat red meat. It's bad for your heart. And all of these studies show that red meat, both beef and pork, cause heart disease long term if you eat it every day. Whereas supposedly white meat does not, unless you eat an equal amount of saturated fat or cholesterol. But it's mostly saturated fat. That's what the study examined, was saturated fat. And equal amount of saturated fat, which is very hard to do with boneless, skinless. Let's face it, boneless, skinless, you're not going to get the same amount of saturated fat as you would in a steak. That's all marbled. So they're saying if you eat an equal amount of saturated fat from white meat, chicken, then, or turkey, then it is the same as eating a steak. But so lean, how are you going to get that much fat? How are you going to get that much saturated fat? You'd have to eat a ton, right? So that's one study. There's been other studies that looked at people, but they were, these studies are observational studies, and they rely on the testimony of the participants. They don't control what they eat. They just rely on their memory of what they ate. They said that red meat definitely causes heart disease, but you have to control for other factors too, right? Like the people in the study who didn't eat a lot of red meat and did what they were told and followed all the suggestions. They also exercised a lot. They didn't smoke. Those are two huge ones. They were thin. They were rich. They were all white professionals. So how are we supposed to know that this is true? How are we supposed to know this is true, that red meat actually causes heart disease when all the participants that didn't eat red meat were also doing all these other healthy things that the people who ate red meat didn't do? Doesn't seem like a very fair study, does it? And what is the increase in risk? Oh, it increased the risk of heart disease by 14%. That seems, oh wow, 14%. I don't want to increase that much. But that's not a whole lot. And there's room for bias and error. Whereas if you look at smoking, it increases your risk of heart disease by 300%, which is very clear-cut, very obvious correlation there. It can't be ignored. So this is a problem. This is a problem. You look at red meat, you look at chicken. You don't want to look at red meat or chicken when you're a vegan because there's innocent animals, right? And that might be what's motivating Harvard. Harvard may be motivated because they're vegans, right? They're vegans, so they're championing their own. It's just like trusting vegansociety.com or veganvitals.com or some other, anything that's has vegan in the name, Vegan Society. You're going to really trust the Vegan Society to tell you that red meat is bad for you. Of course, they're singing to the choir. They're going to tell you that red meat is bad for you. Or if you ask a barber if you need a haircut, they're going to tell you, yeah, you need a haircut. So naturally, you can't trust vegansociety.com or any other people who are telling you that red meat is bad if they have an ulterior motive, if they're not a neutral third party. What do you expect to hear? So I did the research. I found out that beef liver is one of the best natural sources of B12. If you're B12 deficient, beef liver has a ton of B12. And you don't get B12 very much from chicken or turkey. It has maybe anywhere from 11 to 14% of your B12, depending on the parts. Red meat, closer to 60%, close to 60%. So big difference in your B12. Which would you rather eat today? If you wanted to get your B12 for the day, which would you rather eat? And if eating beef liver once a week set you up for your B12 supply, just like getting a shot for the whole week, just something to think about. Beef liver is actually very cheap. If you don't like the taste of beef liver, you can always put it in a food dehydrator, cut it up, put it in a food dehydrator, and make yourself liver jerky or liver tablets or little liver treats. I don't know what you want to do with liver. Stuff it somewhere. But it's very nutritious. It's incredibly nutritious. Choline, one of the best natural sources of choline, one of the best natural sources of B12, one of the best natural sources of all the B vitamins. Now they try to demonize choline and say, well, it makes TMAO. That's so bad for your heart. And maybe this is why red meat is bad for your heart, because of TMAO. I'm not discounting that at all. But choline, guess what? If you don't get choline, your brain doesn't function. Yeah, your brain doesn't function right. It malfunctions without choline. So, what are you going to do? Are you going to get 100% of your choline, or are you going to get 0? The choice is yours. And, of course, there's choline also in beans. So you really can't avoid it if you're trying to avoid it. And there's choline in asparagus. There's choline in broccoli. All sorts of vegetables have choline in them. You have to eat a ton to get enough choline. Whereas instead of eating a ton of vegetables every single day to get all the nutrients you need, why not just set yourself up by eating beef liver once a week? It's a good source. And you need a variety of meats if you're going to eat meat. Just like you need a variety in if you're going to be a vegan. You need turkey. You need. I don't like hunters. I don't like hunting, but venison is nutritious, and probably more nutritious because the deer eat grass, wild grasses. They don't even eat domestic grass, they eat wild grasses. But there's some people who hunt for their whole families for food, just hunt for food, not for sport, and can respect that and understand that. I love deer, but I love deer, but and I also love goats. I can't even stand the thought of eating a goat or a little lamb. But and some people worship the cow. They worship the cow. I really don't see it. I don't see why people worship cows. I understand it. I understand some people feel very strongly about cows and really love cows. But I just don't understand worshiping them. I don't understand what's special about the cow. I know they have friendships, but so do all the other animals. All the animals have friendships. All the animals have friendships. All the animals are capable of making friends. Any animal is capable of being a pet, except for maybe cockroaches. Any animal is capable of making a good pet, except for wild lion or tiger. Don't make good pets at all. I can understand people wanting to keep them, but they don't make good pets. But I digress. Back to the subject of nutrition. Now vegans say you're killing these innocent animals. You're a murderer. You're a murderer killing these innocent animals, and also you are a thief because you're stealing their bodies, robbing them of the vitamins that they accumulated, they acquired, that they manufactured or made with their own bodies. You're stealing their nutrients for yourself. But, the fact of the matter is, even if you are a thief, stealing the vitamins from the animals, You can't, even then you can't deny they're very nutritious. Can't deny. Take a look at the nutrients. Take a look at all the nutrients: thiamine, riboflavin, niacin, B6, folate. Well, not so much folate, although eggs have folate in them. Eggs have folate, vitamin A, and vitamin D, which other animal foods do not. But B12, B12 is a big one, and also pantothenic acid has all of them, and it has a lot of minerals too, especially selenium, a lot of selenium. Where are you going to get your selenium from, right? Well, I suppose you could eat Brazil nuts, but what if you're allergic to Brazil nuts? See how you're going to get your selenium. You should think about this. You should think about the variety of nutrients, the spectrum of nutrients, all the B vitamins. The B's are the really hard ones to get. All the B vitamins and all of the minerals in meat, and how much lower in fat and saturated fat and cholesterol than it is than milk and eggs. Think about whether Harvard P.F. Chang has an ulterior motive. Think about whether they have an ulterior motive if they're really environmentalists who aren't really thinking about your health. They're not thinking about your health, they're thinking about the environment, like I was. I was very motivated by the environment. Maybe they're more motivated by the environment than your health, and think about whether they just love animals and just don't want to see them eaten. You know, it's really something to think about. Your health versus the environment and the animals. You know, I mean, you have to choose at some point. Like if you're fat, if you're sick, if you're tired, if you haven't really been a junk food vegan, you know, you haven't been a junk food vegan. Haven't been a junk food vegan, but you're still sick, fat, and tired. And no matter how much exercise you do, can't seem to lose weight no matter what. No matter what you do, no matter what you do, no matter how much or how little exercise you get, you just can't seem to lose the weight. You struggle to get enough protein. You have vitamin deficiencies constantly. You have to live off supplements, which is so unnatural. So unnatural. That's not the best source for vitamins and minerals either, no matter how skillful or good the manufacturer may be. It's just keeping you alive. But you know something's missing and something's wrong. Not getting the full spectrum that nature provides. So, think about this. If you want to get protein, best vegetable source of protein you're going to find is soy, which is highly allergenic. Next best source after soy is beans, lentils, and peas. And I assure you that by the time you're done being a vegan for 2 or 3 years, you're going to have beans, lentils, and peas coming out of your ears. Yeah, you're still going to like them. You're still going to like them, but you're not going to be too happy, especially if you have allergies. So, beans, lentils, peas coming out of your ears. Fake meats, I can't even touch fake meats anymore. So that's not an option. Another thing to think about is that even the ones that are the highest in protein, like navy, navy beans and black beans, which are full of anti-nutrients, by the way. One of these days you're going to faint in a public place or collapse from a lack of minerals because of eating these beans constantly. I almost collapsed the other day. Almost collapsed. I figured out that it was minerals that I needed and I took them in time. I have to live off of supplements, right? Which, like I said, is unnatural. The beans are only 16.6% protein. Okay. 16.6% protein. All the rest is carbs. Okay, it's got a little bit of fat, maybe 1 or 2% fat, and then the rest is carbs. You know what McDougall says, Dr. McDougall? He says, it is scientifically impossible for the body to turn carbohydrates into fat. Are you kidding me? Do you know how much weight I've gained the past year eating carbohydrates? I've gained 40 pounds. Give me a break. What a liar. What a liar. And he just lies because he loves veganism and he loves the animals and he loves the environment. He just lies. Lies and lies and lies. Give me a break. The body isn't capable of turning carbohydrate into fat. It can turn carbohydrate into fats. I know because I took biology class. It can turn fat into fat. All it has to do is change it into the triglyceride of choice. It's a very quick transformation too. And it can turn extra proteins into fat. A longer process and it uses up some calories along the way, but it's possible. So you can get 3.8 calories from protein and 4 calories from carbohydrate and 9 calories from fat. So all of the foods, all of the macros, other than water, of course, can be changed into fat on your body, no matter what you eat. But the thing is, with beans, you're hungry all the time because you're not getting enough protein. Remember, protein is satiating. So, well, now carbohydrates are protein sparing, which is the good thing. The bad thing is you're getting way more carbohydrates than you could ever possibly need. So you're eating and eating and eating and eating and eating, trying to get enough protein. You actually can make yourself sick. I got sick the other day trying to eat enough protein. I just decided just for one day I would try it. Just for one day I would try it. I ate 2 cans of beans. I almost vomited. I was so sick. I was totally nauseated, and that many beans at once did cause me to have a mineral deficiency. So, just something to think about, right? Something to think about, something to consider. The minerals and vitamins in meat put grains to shame. Grains have only a fraction, like maybe a quarter or less, of the B vitamins, and most of the minerals are locked up by anti-nutrients, so they're not bioavailable. It's the phytates that survive cooking, in part, but most of it, like maybe 60% survives cooking. The phytates lock up the nutrients, so you have to multiply everything by 40% and to get the real mineral content of the grain. And then once you've got the mineral content of the grain, then you compare it to meat. There's no comparison. It's almost zero for certain nutrients and very little for others, like maybe you can get some magnesium or something from the vegetables that you can't get from meat. But all the other minerals, even potassium, you can get from meat. Yeah, potassium from meat, not a banana. You wouldn't think so, but it's true. So I'm on the verge considering adding meat back to my diet. Haven't done it yet. But I'm seriously considering it. I'm seriously thinking about it. I could get all my protein anytime I want it. Anytime I want an extra little bit of protein, I can get it without any extra carbs, without any added calories. I can get the protein that I want or need without any extra carbs, carbohydrates, maybe some extra fat in some of the foods. Like, you don't want to eat sausages every meal unless it's your favorite thing in the world and you don't eat anything else. You can eat lean steak. Sirloin is one of the best. Or lean hamburger, ground beef. As far as ground beef goes, ground sirloin is also the best. That's 90-10 or 93-7. And there's also very nutritious turkey, which is more nutritious than chicken. Chicken is lower in fat, but turkey has so much nutrition, especially the dark meat. If you buy ground turkey, if you just don't like thighs because they're kind of slimy, why not buy ground turkey, ground dark meat turkey? Very nutritious, high in fat, well, higher in fat, not as high as not as high as the red meats, and very nutritious, and apparently doesn't cause heart disease very, very much. If you believe what they said about heart disease, because there were confounding risk factors that they didn't take into account because they couldn't for the study. Just couldn't find enough people who were into red meat, like dug red meat, that were smokers. And everybody was told what was healthy and what wasn't healthy, and they believed it. And they were told from the beginning that red meat was a demon, that they demonized red meat. So people didn't touch it. It's very, you wouldn't think it would make you sick. It's got lots of choline, just like beans. Just like beans. It's got heme iron. Heme iron, incredibly difficult to get. It's got heme iron. Been very anemic. I've been anemic. I've been sick. I've been gaining a ton of weight. I've gained 40 pounds, like I said. It's got selenium. Lots of selenium. It's got thiamine, some thiamine, but it's got especially much of B2, B3, B6, and B12. Those are the 4 that red meat is really high in. And if you eat pork, that's got thiamine also. That's a good source of thiamine. And it also has a lot of niacin. Pork chops have a lot of niacin. So I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking it's me versus the animals. It's me versus the animals. What will I choose to do? What will I choose? Will I choose my health? Will I choose not to be sick and fat? Will I choose to be well nourished and not have any vitamin deficiencies or problems? Or will I choose the lives of the animals? So it's a serious dilemma. It really is. It's a real thing. It's a real thing with me. And the only thing I can think is that yes, eating dairy and eggs at every meal is unhealthy. Yes, it's unhealthy. Yes, trying to get enough beans to get enough protein each day is unhealthy. Unless you're just a skeleton with no muscle and no fat. Um, that is possible if you run around all day, but I can't go anywhere. So if I can't go anywhere, how am I gonna survive? You need a ton of exercise to follow veganism. You really do. It just doesn't work without exercise. You can't be a sedentary vegan because you'll gain so much weight. Even not being a junk food vegan, just eating beans and grains at every meal, you'll gain so much weight. So I have to really think about this. I have to think about this seriously and decide what I should do. And I've decided that it would be healthier for me to eat meat. But there's the moral dilemma. And being really concerned for the lives and the welfare of the animals. And I think to myself, well, where did this dilemma come from? Where did it come from originally? Had to be the Creator. Who else but the Creator could have decided the meat would be so nutritious and that the animals would be sacrifice their lives? I still won't celebrate any holidays with meat because I don't believe in celebrating holidays with meat. Would rather follow vegetarianism at the very least, for purification veganism, but for the other times, for regular days, I can't wrap my head around it. Why would Goddess make a nutritional necessity for meat? Why would she do that? Why? I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I'm not a super genius, and I'm not a goddess, so I don't know. I'm not her, so I can't see into her mind, and I don't know why she would make meat nutritious. So I used to think that it was because we should have sympathy for the predators. We have a connection with the predators and understand the predators and don't hate or hurt predators because we eat meat too, so we can identify. We don't judge. Humans are the only animals capable of judgment. We don't judge the predators because we're predators too. There are vegans who have begun to judge the predators and what maybe even want to eliminate the predators as an animal because they can't conscience the eating of gazelles, of deer, of rabbits, of mice, of wild things or birds. They can't conscience it. So they blame the predators. And they have no sympathy or feeling for the predators. Some people believe that meat made the human brain grow bigger. Other people think it was being a gatherer rather than a hunter that made the human brain grow bigger. But may have just been the goddess that made the human brain grow bigger. Because there's still great apes that haven't turned into humans yet. I don't see a gorilla at the zoo turning into a human, although it takes a long time. But you don't see that. Goddess just wanted it to happen. She wanted there to be humans. So we have to think about what we're going to do. Because it's going to be very hard, very difficult to feed the whole planet with meat the way we're going now and with the population increasing. The most efficient use of land is either vegetarianism or veganism. They're both about the same. Vegetarianism isn't that much more land. But eating some meat is actually the most efficient use of land. Some meat, but not a lot. Like, I don't know, not nutritarian. I'm not into that nutritarian stuff, but Dr. Furman, I'm not into him. But just more nutritious diet that incorporates some meat, mostly as a byproduct of milk, and also some eggs and some poultry. That's the most efficient use of land. And think about it, pure veganism isn't the most efficient use of land because there's all those grasslands where no vegetables can grow. Vegetables don't grow everywhere. Did you know that? There's some land that's only fit for scrub brush. It can only be used for cattle. So think about that. Think about that as you get to use more land if you have some cattle and some chickens. The more efficient use of the land. So in summary, veganism is not the most efficient use of land if you're concerned about the environment. The way meat is produced now is unsustainable. Grass-fed is unsustainable. We can't have cows overrunning the rainforest. That's a bad place to grow beef. Not sure what we're doing with our grain now. I think we're sending it all to China. I think we're growing a lot of grain. We're sending it all to China to feed their hogs. We're raising hogs here and sending them to China. We're bleeding land and soil by the hour, feeding over 1 billion people. And they can't produce enough pork in their country. They produce a lot of pork, but they can't produce enough to feed 1 billion people. They just can't. So they have to use our land. So we're sending pork to China from using our soil. Our soil is being eroded to produce pork for China. And then we're getting our beef that we prefer. Our beef comes from Brazilian rainforest that's being chopped down. You can see that that's not a good situation. I don't have all the answers. All I know is that meat sure seems a lot less dangerous than dairy and eggs. It's got a lot less saturated fat, a lot less cholesterol. Done. It may have some nutrients in meat, other nutrients that can cause heart disease, but not a lot. And it's not a whole lot greater risk. It's a very slight risk. And it could be accounted for by other lifestyle factors that they didn't take into account at all or couldn't control for at all. You can't treat humans like lab rats. That's illegal. So, meat might actually be really good for you. And it is. It's very nutritious. You don't want to eat anything to excess. Like the FDA or USDA says, pack of playing cards, like this much meat in a day. And that's all sources like chicken or beef. But if just saying if you're a bodybuilder if you're pregnant, if you fall into some other category where you need extra protein, you're going to need a lot more than a deck of playing cards. Now, the USDA says, well, you'll need 6.5 ounces. 6.5 ounces of meat might be 2 eggs and a chicken breast per day. But there's some people who recommend more. Not saying it's strictly necessary to recommend more, or whether it's good or not, but they do recommend more. They recommend up to 100 grams of protein a day, which is huge. And there's no way you can do that with veganism. You just can't. You just can't get enough. Just trying to get 70 grams with veganism would make you sick. You get so sick. Get so sick eating a couple cans of beans at once, and you'd become minerally deficient. And then what's going to happen to your baby? You might miscarry. You might miscarry. So, if you're pregnant, you really have to eat meat. I'm not saying that you have to be meat if you're a bodybuilder, but all those nutrients, boy, it sure wouldn't hurt. They don't have any of the anti-nutrients that the vegetables do. So you get all the minerals. Get all the minerals. They're not locked up. Minerals are crucial. Where are you going to get your minerals from? So that's it. Just something to think about. I'm tired. I'm so tired of gaining weight. So tired of being fat and sick and not even able to lose 1 ounce, but I sure can gain. I sure can pack it on. It's those carbohydrates. Like even the Italian mothers know that pasta packs on the pounds. They know it because they eat so much of it. How can you deny the evidence of your own senses? Unless you're McDougal. And have an ulterior motive and a political and social agenda. I'm Sarah Jane Alpha Wolf signing off. I'll think about it. I really have to seriously think about whether I want to eat meat or not. It's going to be hard because I really don't like meat. It's going to be hard to force myself to eat meat, but I'm seriously considering it, and I might just abandon veganism altogether.